Taoist Magic Talk Show brought to you by Taoist Master Ji Sifu and King Dragon Taoism. Huliang Tenjun. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. This is your Ji Sifu right here, and today is another Taoism and Taoist Magic Talk Show. Continuing from my previous episode, we talked about the origin of Taoism and explaining about how Taoism was in the old days and the regulated version of Taoism today. So today we want to talk about the regulated version of Taoism in China today, and is it a good or bad things, and the pros and cons about it and what you should know about it. So first of all, I myself teach Taoism and Taoist magic. I have been through the regulated version before, and I have been through a lot of experience, learning, cultivating, and all that in those traditional sects. But today, I am teaching and passing on the Taoism and Taoist magic from a sect of my own. So I am not related to the regulated Taoism in China today. And I like that idea a lot. So why? Well, let's dig into it. First of all, China have started to take over religion and regulate them. You might not know, but in the old days, it was like that too, just not that modernized. So how does it work? Well, you see, there are many, many, many sects of Taoism in China. A lot of them you might not even find them on Google and books, and they're not even documented. Why? Because they don't have money, right? They are in the village passing on the stuff generations to generations, and they might be very old too, but the thing is they don't have money, and they don't have access to internet, and they don't have the they don't even have the desire to spread it out to worldwide market. They don't care. I just need to pass it on to my grandchildren or people who believe, people in the same village. That's it. Their world is so small, and they don't even care about spreading out. So you won't know about those. There's a lot of sect. For example, right now, I name a one. There's this Yam San Pai, right? You won't even heard about it. But I come to know about this sect when I was learning some Fu from that sect. And I was like, wow, there's a new sect right there. Oh, okay. So yeah, there's a lot of different sects. Small sect, big sect, but you don't know about them. So in China, right, the government is that's not good, okay? We need to regulate everything or else it's going to get all over the place. And what's not so good is that there are actually evil people who comes up with a religion or a cult or a sect, and they will use the name of a religion but scam people. And well, scamming people for sex and stuff is really bad, and the government have to find a way to deal with it, right? So they have to regulate it. Well, in that perspective, I would say it is really good, because I hate it when people use the name of religion to scam people for sex and things like that, and it's really, really annoying. Even if the religion is good and something like that happen, it ruins the image of the whole thing. So China did what they have to do to regulate the religion. And I am not disagreeing with that. That is a good thing to do. You need to do that as a government, right? If I'm the government, I will do that too. So what happened is they started with a good intention, right? And then, when it carried out, it's not always perfect. So they say, we're going to group everything. And there's only two different category. One is any sect that are more focused on magic, like Fu and spells and those things, right? You are good at magic, then we grouped you into the Zhengyat Pai, Zhengyat Zhengyi, Zhongyi. Okay, so you are good at magic, then that's what you're doing. If you are good at chanting, theory, that kind of stuff, then we grouped you into Qun Zhen, the other one. So you have two sects to choose from. So whatever your little sect or version or lineage or whatever you want to call that is, you pick one. And then we group yours into one of the category, and now you're like below this lineage. It's like, like you have, let's say, like tech companies, okay? So we're like, you only have Microsoft and Apple. Anything else you can like look at your company, what you promote and your vibe, and then we group you under neither Microsoft or Apple. So there's nothing allowed except for these two. Oh, you're Samsung. So, what are your specialties? Are you like, the business and boring type, or are you like the creative type? Oh, creative type. Okay, we grouped you back into Apple. You're like Google. Okay, you're like boring and business. Okay, you're under Microsoft. Now Google is called Microsoft Google. You see what I mean? That's what's happening in China with Taoism. So it's kind of unfair for those smaller sects. And if you don't want to be like that, well, you're categorized as a cult, like not registered, right? So the leader is going to ban you. You're not going to survive, like unless you just like teach it inside your own family. But otherwise, if you don't keep quiet, you get loud, you get banned, and people will kill you. Yeah, so that's how it is in China. Okay, it gets kind of extreme, but that kind of kills the natural property of those Taoism sects, because before this regulating things happen, there are like a lot of sects of Taoism, and they all fall into the same category, but they're not related to one source. They all have their version of belief. Like this lineage will believe only these, and this believe like only these, and they're not related. They don't share the same God, So yeah. Okay, so and then the other way to group Taoism together is that they force you to pray to the same God. So it's like we cannot tolerate everyone worshiping their own set of God. So the government has to like force them to change, right? So these sects have to make changes, and as they evolve through history, a nice word for that. So they are like forced to change. So they will have to like worship, for example, the typical one, the Samching, and they have to like worship this and that. And it's like you have to do it. Even your lineage don't worship those stuff. It's funny, right? And these days, like in the modern Asia, it's like that too, because of China's politics. Like they start to like categorize stuff. So there's a lot of like sect and lineage that are not related to the China Taoism. For example, there's like this Mao San sect, and there's like Luk Yam sect, and those sects, right? They practice magic and stuff that is like Taoist magic, but they don't really call themselves a Taoist before. But now, if they don't call themselves a Taoist or born, like go back to China and born with those sects and fall under those big ones, you'll be categorized as a cult. So what do? People are forced to go back to China to get certified. So they have to go through a quick course, pay some money, and they get like a certificate and like a passport to say that they are a Taoist of those sects in China to quote quote to like you are this, for example, you're like Mao San in Hong Kong, but you are now like on top of that, you're also a disciple, a Taoist of this sect in China. So with that in your profile, you will not be caught by the police and say you're running a cult, because you are still a Taoist, right? So you see how that works. So people are forced to do that throughout these years, because if you don't do that, people look at you and will say, hey, you must be a scammer, right? The government's not going to protect you from these things. And well, guess what? A lot of people actually went back to China to get certificate and scam people. That's what happened. Okay, it was like even on the news that a lot of those certified Taoists They only went through like a quick summer course thing, go there for like a month or 3 weeks, and then come back with like all the robes and looking good, right? You look good, but the thing is, you don't even learn much, and then they come back and start scamming people. It went on the news, sex scandal and all that, right? That happened a lot, and that's bad. Well, yeah, originally, what they don't want to happen happened. What can you do? Well, I'm not the government. I can't tell them what to do, but I'll just have to tell you that fact. Okay, so all these like certified Taoists doesn't mean anything right now, because it's like, yeah, you get certified, but what does that mean? Like, it only means that you went back to China, paid the money, and went through a like very short course. No one actually give a damn about you. Like, they don't even teach you things. You watch the video yourself and learn whatever and do your own version of things at home. I don't care. You come and pay me money. That's what you get. So that's why me, like personally living in Toronto, I don't care about that stuff. I don't really like that idea. I hate it myself right now. But, after a few years, right now, at this moment, I saw on TikToks, the good ones, like they're good masters in China, promoting Taoism and spreading out some good vibes. So there was like this old Taoist, like he looked old, okay? He was like in a temple. It seems like he was like a master in the temple, and he was doing this TikTok to promote the Taoism etiquette. So there was like this believer, quote, quote, believer, okay? Maybe an actor. So he was like praying to the god, and he put his palm together like a Buddhist and start praying. And then the master is like, hey, you know what? You should not do that. That's very, very disrespectful. These are like foreigners' etiquette. You have to learn how to pray to Chinese god. That's how we do in Taoism. And he teach him how to do it. I think like this kind of thing is really important. Okay, like to me, Buddhism is never a Chinese thing. Buddhism comes from India, right? So if you're like a Chinese, you don't even know your own country's etiquette, and you start using India's version of stuff to pray to your Chinese god. I mean, like, you can choose to stay home and not go to the temples. But if you actually went to a Chinese religion temple, you need to know how to pray to those things, right? So it's like so insulting to see the Chinese going to a Taoism temple but using Buddhist etiquette. Okay, so I really like this kind of thing when they promote and educate the public, because a lot of Chinese really don't know. Like, they are not educated, and they have no idea like what's the difference between Taoism and Buddhism, because throughout the history, Buddhism was like so mushed into the culture because the rulers were using it a lot to control the people. So they don't really know like what is the difference. And in the movies, the stories and fictions and all that, like, it's all mixed together and mushed together. So you don't really know what the clear difference between the two religions. A lot of people don't know. And I like it how they actually bring it out again and teach people about it so that they can differentiate these things. And so like Taoism kind of like revived, and the movies as well. Like recently, the TV shows and the drama from China is nice. Like, they have a lot of what we call scene hapkek. It's like they shows like immortals and gods and demons and all that fighting, right? They don't blend in Buddhism element anymore like in the 60s and 70s. In the 60s, 70s, or even the 80s, they were like all into Buddhism. So they praise like Buddhism and their martial art and stuff a lot in the movies. So Taoists were kind of like put down. Like, usually when they talk about Taoism sect, it's always like, oh, there's a pervert, there's some bad guys. It's like they are so bad. But now it's not like that. They give Taoism a whole new, clean and positive image in the media, and they make the Taoists look very cool with their Taoist magic, with the special effect and all that, right? So that is actually nice for the next generation, because the next generation will not like like they grow up with these entertainment, right? They will believe like, oh, in the future I want to become a Taoist too because that looks so cool. Like at least you plant a nicer image and not like I want to become a Buddhist. Why? Oh, because the Buddhist knows a lot of kung fu. Well, what do you know about Buddhism? Nothing. You only know about it in the movie. Right? That's what happened in the past. Like a lot of people like Buddhism because they saw it in the movie, not because they know of the religion. So nowadays, the China, the government, and all those temples are actually doing a good job promoting Taoism again, and I have to give them a thumbs up for that because I personally, like myself, cannot do everything, right? So I cannot educate that many people with my videos and podcasts. But if they can do it, well, that's a nice thing. I mean, at least you see more like real, pure Taoism vibes of going around the internet and not just like people doing Buddhism and then believe that they're they're a Taoist, right? In the Western Taoism world, like, if you go to the English forums and search like Taoism, they are still in the like what we call like they blend Taoism and Buddhism together and they cannot even differentiate the two much. It's like that all the time. And that's why the version of Taoism in the West is so messed up because they are still stuck in that state of like they don't know how to like differentiate the two because what they had is like what the Chinese got in the past, like in the 60s, 70s century, that kind of time, when people are still very stuck in Buddhism. Yeah, they're still kind of stuck there, right? So I hope that I can bring some clarities to the English-speaking side because right now China is promoting a lot, but they're still like all Chinese-speaking. They're doing TikToks, but their TikToks is fully in Chinese, so no one in the English society will actually go watch it. And even you go watch it, you don't even understand, right? So I am okay in English, like I can talk in English. So you see, if I am here, I think that is my job, to do this purifying to the Taoism world, the Taoism side in the West. Right? So, yeah, I'm here to clarify things for you guys. But at the same time, I will also have to say, like, there are things that the China Taoism are still, like, trying to promote, which isn't really correct or right, but they have their reasons because they have to fit the international market. It's like the way how you speak with a diplomatic tone. Right? So you have to, how do I say? It's like you don't want to get in trouble. Right? So you have to avoid saying something and you have to like kind of change the way you explain things and you have to like not hurt the other religion, things like that, right? And you also need to like talk in a way that doesn't seem like you're biased and things like that. So they have their worries and that's why they're promoting things like that. They promote a lot to like outsiders and newbies and things like that. So they have to take into consideration what they are spreading out must be like not too extremely different from what people used to know so that they can actually accept it first. And in reality, if you actually learn from a real master, it's not like that. Like they have a version for the outsiders and they have things that they teach to insiders where like this disciple is actually locally living and staying with the master or can see the master all the time. They are the one who get to learn the real things. And they will tell you things like while you're like eating with the master, they tell you things that they're like, okay, this is the truth, but you don't say this to outsiders. There's like this kind of culture in Chinese, right? I teach you the real thing, but you're not going to tell this to everyone outside because the outsiders are supposed to know the outsider's version. This is our insider version, and this is actually how it works inside Taoism. They will tell you this after you have earned the trust from the master. So if you're like one of those, like going around the internet trying to like do research and look at books and all that, you're not going to touch this. You're not going to even touch 1% of the truth inside any sect because China and Chinese culture is like that. Even in martial art, they have a version that they teach to the public and they have a version or stuff that they won't teach the public. Every martial arts sector is like that. They call that the insider secret, and that's what you don't get. But now, me here spreading Taoism to the West, right? I am leaking more things than most of those outside there. So, if you like listen to my podcast and things like that, you will find that, hey, how come this guy saying something is like not so the same as the China's version? Well, yeah, because I'm telling you more insider things that you won't know. And I'm doing that because I want to expose it so that everyone can have a chance to actually touch it and see the real side of Taoism. Anyway, so stay tuned for my future episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.